Hi, 7th graders. You're going to need your green textbook again today. Opened up to page 92. We're going to finish the story, Born Worker. Yesterday, Jose and Arnie were at Mr. Clemens' house. Jose was doing all of the work while Arnie sat and talked Jose's ear off and was being very annoying. They're working on cleaning out Mr. Clemens' pool. Mr. Clemens comes out to check on their progress and his hearing aid falls out and goes into the pool. He leans over to see if he can catch it, loses his balance, falls into the pool that has very little water in it, hits his head, is bleeding from his head, and while Jose goes, his instinct is to go and help Mr. Clemens, Arnie's instinct is for them to run, to get out of there and to leave the old man there. So we're going to see how the whole thing turns out today. Again, page 92, starting at the big J. Jose knelt on both knees of the old man's side. He took the man's teeth from his mouth and placed them in his shirt pocket. The old man groaned and opened his eyes, which were shiny wet. He appeared startled like a newborn. "Sit, you'll be all right," Jose cooed, then snapped at his cousin. "Arnie, get over here and help me." "I'm going home," Arnie whined. "You punk," Jose yelled. "Go inside and call 911. Arnie said they should leave him there. "Why should we get involved?" he cried as he started for his bike. "It's his own fault." Jose laid the man's head down and with giant steps leaped out of the pool, shoving his cousin as he passed. He went into the kitchen and punched in 911 on a telephone. He explained to the operator what had happened. When asked the address, Jose dropped the phone and went onto the front porch to look for it. "It's 940 East Brown," Jose breathed. He hung up and looked wildly about the kitchen. He opened up the refrigerator and brought out a plastic tray of ice, which he twisted so that a few of the cubes popped out and slid across the floor. He wrapped some cubes in a dish towel. Then he raced outside. Arnie was gone. The yapping poodle was doing laps around the edge of the pool. Mr. Clemens was trying to stand up. "No, sir," Jose said as he jumped into the pool with his own knees almost buckling. "Please, sit down." Mr. Clemens staggered and collapsed. Jose caught him before he hit his head again. The towel of ice cubes dropped from his hands. With his legs spread to absorb the weight, Jose raised the man up in his arms, this fragile man. He picked him up and carefully stepped toward the shallow end, one slow elephant step at a time. "You'll be all right," Jose said, more to himself than to Mr. Clemens, who moaned and struggled to be let free. The sirens wailed in the distance. The poodle yapped, which started a dog barking in the neighbor's yard. "You'll be okay," Jose repeated, and in the shallow end of the pool, he edged up the steps. He laid the old man in the lounge chair and raced back inside for more ice and another towel. He returned outside and placed the bundle of cubes on the man's head where the blood flowed. Mr. Clemens was awake, looking about. When the old man felt his mouth, Jose reached into his shirt pocket and pulled out his false teeth. He fit the teeth into Mr. Clemens' mouth and a smile appeared, something bright in a difficult time. "I hit my head," Mr. Clemens said after smacking his teeth so that the fit was right. Jose looked up and his gaze floated to a telephone pole, one his father might have climbed. If he had been there, his father would have seen that Jose was more than just a good worker. He would have seen a good man. He held the towel to the old man's head. The poodle, now quiet, joined them on the lounge chair. A fire truck pulled into the driveway, and soon they were surrounded by firemen, one of whom brought out a first aid kit. A fireman led Jose away and asked what had happened. He was starting to explain when his cousin reappeared, yapping like a poodle. "I was scrubbing the pool," Arnie shouted, "and I said, 'Mr. Clemens, you shouldn't stand so close to the edge.' But did he listen? No. He leaned over and, well, you can just imagine my horror." Jose walked away from Arnie's jabbering. He walked away and realized that there were people like his cousin, the liar, and people like himself, someone he was getting to know. He walked away and in the mid-morning heat boosted himself up a telephone pole. He climbed up and saw for himself what his father saw, miles and miles of trees and houses and a future lost in the layers of yellowish haze. And that is the end of the story. So Jose obviously does the right thing. He calls 911. He brings ice out for Mr. Clemens' head. He makes sure that Mr. Clemens doesn't try to get up and move around. He talks to the 911 operator, gives the address and everything, with no help from Arnie, who takes off and leaves Jose to do everything. Obviously, if Arnie had stuck around, one person could have stayed with Mr. Clemens while the other person made the 911 call, or one person could have been on the phone with 911 while the other person went out and checked to see what the address was. Definitely would have been nice to have an extra person there, but unfortunately Arnie felt like he just needed to look out for himself, and it wasn't his problem, because it wasn't his problem, it was the old man's problem. So he's thinking just of himself. Jose, on the other hand, does what he can to help the man and does the right thing. So the fire department comes to the rescue, and all of a sudden Arnie shows up on the scene and takes credit for everything, makes it sound like he's the big hero, when Jose knows that that is a lie. We know as the readers that that is a lie. And Jose just basically says, you know, there are people that are like him that are liars, and then there are people like me. And he also says that he kind of wishes his dad had been working on a telephone pole high up so that he could see that his son wasn't just a good worker, but also a good man. So very interesting story, I think, the relationship, especially between Arnie and Jose, and how different the two of them are. Big contrast in their personalities, their values, and so on. So give that some more thought. Leave a comment using a discussion starter underneath this video, and that is your only assignment for today. Have a great day, 7th graders. And I was wrong about the day yesterday, right? Today is actually Tuesday. So have a great Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.